Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. We're going into week 13. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We have football the whole weekend this week, thanks to Thanksgiving games. And we have a couple of good ones and a couple of stinkers, as we usually get. For some reason, somehow the Thursday games never seem to be very good. I don't know why. They should put like a primetime game as the third game on Thanksgiving. And they never really do that, and I don't know why. But that's neither here nor there. Well, at least we have Detroit and Dallas playing at home. So, Smokey, how are you doing?
I am good. I am better than Commanders fans at this time. I know the end of that game actually was spectacular, but for the vast majority of the game, it was horrible. And it looks like the Commanders have absolutely lost a step. I don't know if they're going to be able to turn it around. Maybe so, because the fourth quarter was promising for them, but they went down in a blaze. And what looked like they were going to dominate the NFC, now it looks like they are slightly below mediocre at this point in time. So they're not feeling well about it. We'll see if they can turn it around. How are you, Alex?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm better than Giants fans.
Oh.
I don't think there's any other team to mention there. So your quarterback gets released. Not only does he get benched, but he gets released, and then you go and you get completely destroyed at home. And you're in line to pick first overall. By the way, did you know that the Giants have never picked first overall in the Super Bowl era?
Oh, I did not know that.
It would be the first time since the beginning of the Super Bowl era that the Giants would pick first overall. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens.
I thought there was like a trivia question that came up before, and I thought the answer to that was the Patriots, but it's the Giants, huh?
No, there's multiple teams.
Oh, okay.
I think the Seahawks never did. I think Denver, if I remember right, never did. Maybe Baltimore surely never did either. There has to be a few teams that the new expansion teams did, but there has to be a few teams that didn't. The Giants are one of them, so they have never picked first overall. And it looks like they're in line to pick first overall.
They're working on it for sure. I'll tell you, though, one thing that game taught me is that it may not have been Danny Dimes' fault. Like, not all of that was Daniel's fault, because you are even worse without Daniel Jones. So,
oh yeah, I don't think anyone doubted they would be worse without him, but I think the criticism is that he's eating up 160 million, and we are so bad. He's not the type of quarterback that will get you over the top. He's not that the Josh Allen or prime Aaron Rodgers who will take that team, carry them to a playoff spot. He's just, an average, good starting quarterback. But on this kind of team, he's just useless, right? He's not worth any kind of money on this particular roster.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a few teams out there right now that could use them. I mean, at this point in the season, though, it's like some of these really bad teams, they don't have a chance to make it through the playoffs. So I don't know if anybody will pick him up before the end of the season, but
I'll take him.
For the 49ers?
Yeah, if Purdy's injured for longer, I'm taking him.
Yeah,
we have to win 4 of the next 6 games. There's no way around it. So I'm not doing that with one of my backup quarterbacks. I need another one.
Yeah, that division is winnable even with a losing record. So I get your point there. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk about the Niners and the Giants in a bit. Starting off, though, with the traditional Lions home game. And it seems like for the first time in many decades, or one of the few times in many decades, this seems to be a happy occasion for Lions fans because they're really good. And they are hosting the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I guess you didn't want to talk about last week's prediction tally.
We only disagreed on one game.
Yes.
It was I know this without even you're the one keeping track. It was the Ravens and the Chargers.
Yeah,
you had the Ravens, obviously.
I did. Yep, made one more point on you. That was 9 on the week for me, 8 on the week for you, bringing the season total 126 for me and 128 for you. So I am almost there.
There it is. Yep. That's what is no less than what I expected to happen. That's how it goes.
Oh yeah,
every single year.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah.
The Lions
There you
and
are.
yeah, the Lions and the Bears, like you mentioned, they always play on Thanksgiving, and so do the Cowboys. And here will be another classic matchup, a divisional matchup, and the Bears actually put up a valiant effort last week. Couldn't quite pull it out in the end. That game was somewhat of a barn burner, like more than I expected, because it came right down to the wire there with the Vikings. I don't know if that's a symptom of the Vikings not being as good as they were in the first of the season. I know I've alluded to that over the past few weeks, that they are not what they were for the first 8, 9 games of the season, and it came right down to the wire. But the Bears got the loss. The Lions got the win. Another beatdown performance over the lonely Indiana Colts. This team is just rolling. It's on fire. There is no reason why they would lose this game. I'll take the Lions at home.
Yeah, I think I'll take the Lions as well. I think they will. They are looking for payback here, probably for 25 years of saved up Thanksgiving misery, having to play at home year after year, and barely being able to fill the stands. Understandably, a lot of people won't leave the house on Thanksgiving when the team isn't even very good. This year, the stand will be full. They're playing a divisional game. They're playing the worst team in their division, and they're playing to expand the division and get pretty close to locking it up. To winning the division pretty soon here. Lions are going to probably want to make this another very clear blowout, and they'll do their best to do that. I wouldn't doubt that it's going to happen. Lions by a lot. Giants at the Cowboys.
This would be a tank bowl, except for the Cowboys actually showed some fight last week, and the Giants, however, did not. They got stomped out, and Tommy DeVito is probably not going to put up a ton of points. Although the Cowboys' defense is easily beatable. I know with Micah Parsons out there, they are better. But we've seen plenty of teams put up tons of points on there. So this game could be closer than you expect. But this is the Cowboys at home on Thanksgiving. Got to give the edge to them because I don't think the Giants want to win in the first place. So I'll take the Cowboys at home.
Yeah, give me Dallas. They beat Washington. To me, this is still like a semi-tank bowl because neither team has any realistic playoff chances with Philly and then also Washington in that division. But the Giants are arguably the worst team in the league. I'll take Dallas. Dolphins and the Packers as the needless third Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, this should be a good game, actually. I mean, it doesn't mean a lot for the overall picture, of course, but both of these teams are winning right now. I know the Packers kind of struggled, but the Dolphins, once Tua is back, this team believes that they still have a shot to make the playoffs, and they have a lot of work to do and a long way to go, but they are out there stomping teams out, and that's all you can ask for. You know, they basically mollywopped the Patriots last week. So that makes this game a little tough. The Packers have struggled recently, even though they still get a good bit of wins. I think the Dolphins have a little bit going in their favor here because they're going to fight and claw and try to make the playoffs in the end. I'll take the Dolphins on the road.
Wow, okay. Take Dolphins. Mm-hmm. This is a difficult pick for me. Dolphins have been looking good. They've been looking up since Tua was back. Two different teams with and without a quarterback. Packers beat... so the equivalent of this game of the Packers beating the Niners was like... like you in your own car could probably win a NASCAR race if like all the other drivers had no tires, right? And if you took all of their wheels, you'd probably win the race against all those race cars. That's what that game reminded me of a lot.
Yep.
Niners basically played their entire practice squad, or it's getting close to that point, and maybe they should. And the Packers had, of course, a clean win. But the Packers have been good all year. They're in the most competitive division. They need every win they can get. The Dolphins have a losing record, and the Packers have to think, look, we're at home. We're playing good. This is a must-win game for Green Bay. I think they get it done. I'm taking the Packers. I like their defense better than the Dolphins, and I think ultimately cold temperature. They're going to play at home at Lambeau late at night. I think a lot of things go in the Packers' favor. I'll take Green Bay.
Yeah.
Raiders and the Chiefs as the Black Friday game that nobody asked for.
Yeah. Oh, but one more thing about the Packers. I forgot. I think I had saw somewhere that it's supposed to be like 22 degrees on that game. So, yeah, I didn't really plan on that when I was making that pick. But hey, we'll see what happens. Maybe the Miami team can play in the cold. You never know.
Yeah, they're famous for like not messing up their season in December, right?
Yeah.
The last 4 years.
With your Hawaiian quarterback, yeah. Chiefs and the Raiders. Man, the Raiders could probably use Daniel Jones also. I think Aiden O'Connell might be back, so they may not have to start Desmond Ridder here. Either way, not going to help the team a lot other than Brock Bowers. They are really bad. And the Chiefs got it back together at the very end. It was the Panthers, though. A lot of people say that the Panthers are improving. I'm not sure about that. This is still the same team. And they almost beat the Chiefs. They took it down to the wire. So the Chiefs are struggling, even though they have a ton of wins. They've only lost one game this year. They're right up there with the Lions. They're not that good. They're not as good as their record. So this could be a contested matchup, but you have to go with the Chiefs in the end. It's probably going to happen. Even if they go to overtime, the Chiefs are going to win because they always win in overtime anyway. I'll take the Chiefs at home.
Yeah, also take the Chiefs, but that's not the interesting part about this game. The interesting part is the betting spread. The Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites in this one. That looks like too much to me. Just on its face, that looks like way too much. I think there's money to be had. Someone wants to put some money on the Raiders. This could easily be a one touchdown or one score game. Maybe two, and a touchdown and a field goal, maybe a 10-point game. I don't think it'll be a blowout. The way the Chiefs have played, struggling by against Carolina, and historically, even the Raiders play their best game of the season against Kansas City. They beat them last year, remember? And I think something like that could happen again. I think this would be a close one. I would put money on Vegas here with the spread, but the Chiefs are going to win the game at the end of the day. Chargers and Falcons.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Dang it. Because I'll, of course, the Falcons is my team, but I also like the Chargers, and I want to see them do well. So this game popping up at this point in time is really hard for me to pick because the Falcons are coming off of a bye, and you hope they fix their issues. They got blown out the last time we saw them play, and they were not looking good at all. But it's Kirk Cousins. You got a veteran quarterback. You got weapons all over the field. They should be able to get it back in line. However, the Chargers lost, but that's because the Ravens slaughter on primetime games. They just turn it up a notch. And Chargers did not do bad by any means. I think this team is offensively really good, and Herbert's doing it without the stars that a lot of these other quarterbacks have. So I give credit to Herbert here. That's why I'm going to go against my team. I'm going to say that the Chargers come to Atlanta and take this one on the road.
Yeah, I have that same feeling because Falcons are coming out of a bye week, which you would expect is a boost for them, but they went into the bye week on the worst note they possibly could have, right? They played two very bad games before they went into the bye. The Chargers played good games, and the Chargers should, I think, rightfully be favored in this one, even though it is in Atlanta, and that they're coming off a short week. I'll also take the Chargers as well. This team's good. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is great. Justin Herbert's obviously great. I think they'll need another draft cycle and another free agency cycle to become serious competitors in this AFC, given how stacked the AFC is at the top. Doesn't mean they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I still think they have a good shot as a wild card team to make the playoffs. I think one more year and the Chargers will be truly competitive in the division, in the conference. That's what it's looking like to me. Just a quality at wide receiver in particular is just it's just not there. You know, Quentin Johnston is not turning into a suitable replacement for Keenan Allen. Hasn't for the last 2 years. He'll get probably another shot, but I think you have to make another draft pick or two to just kind of invest in that group, shore it up defensively as well. Still, no less, I will take the Chargers, get it done here. They have the better offense against the Falcons. Steelers and the Bengals.
Yeah, this should be a barn burner right here. The Steelers are coming off of that Thursday night loss to the Browns. It's not a good look by any means, but it's a Thursday night game, which are usually terrible anyway, and it's your division rivals. It seems like this happens once a year. Even when the Steelers are really good, they still drop one to the Browns here and there, except for when the Browns used to lose every single game. But different story. They lost, and it is a bad look, but I don't think they're a bad team by any means. This defense is still really good. It's just one of those things that happens because there's so much parity in the NFL. The Bengals are coming off of a bye, and they're going to put up a ton of points here. Can that defense hold the Steelers to enough points to get it over? Because even though the Steelers' defense is great, they're probably going to put up 30 points because they have the offensive weapons to do that. And Joe Burrow throws the ball over the field, and when you got Jamar Chase out there, you can almost throw it up anywhere, and he's going to come down with it and score a touchdown. They're going to put up 30 points on the Steelers. Now, do I think the Steelers can keep up with them? Is Russell Wilson going to be able to hit George Pickens enough and Calvin Austin enough to keep up with the Bengals? Being that the Bengals are at home in Cincinnati, I'm going to give the favor of 3 points to the Bengals and say that the Bengals win at home.
It's difficult, right? Because record-wise, you'd expect the Steelers surely to be the better team and to be favored in this one, but Bengals are also coming off a bye, Steelers coming off of a bad showing, and the Bengals really can't afford to lose another game in the division. That's a big one that should count. Now, Baltimore already won that good game against the Chargers Monday night, so the division is not in safe hands at all for the Steelers. They lost, Baltimore won. Division's up for grabs. The Bengals still think they can do more than play spoiler. It would probably have to be via the wild card at this point, which is going to be very difficult to do in the AFC. I think the Bengals we're getting close to the point where we have to say the Bengals have to win out. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they can even afford to drop a game at all, let alone this one against Pittsburgh. So they will put everything into winning it. Steelers, I don't know how much of a fluke that was against Cleveland. It's always very difficult to make picks after seeing a game like that. I think one last time I'll take the Bengals. Maybe this is just like a slow descent into madness for you and me because we're just seeing we're seeing the statistics, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and what this offense is doing and how are they not winning games. We know the Bengals defense is not very good. It's terrible, in fact. But you keep kind of going back to it because you see the potential there. So one more time, I will take the Bengals. The Steelers seem to me a bit overrated at this point, and they have their weakness or one of their weaknesses in the most important position, which is quarterback. More inconsistencies at least. Bengals kind of the other way around is the exact opposite story basically. Steelers have a great roster, great defense, everything. Bengals not so much, but Joe Burrow is phenomenal. I'll take the Bengals as well. I don't know. This might be a very bad pick. This is where I should make up a point on you. Just take the Steelers, try to take the winning team, stupid, and then keep going. But I'll take the Bengals. Texans and the Jaguars.
Yeah, this was not tough before this past week when the Texans lost to one of the worst teams in the NFL. Divisional matchup, too. That's what makes this tough because this is another divisional matchup. And even though it's the Jaguars, who are a bottom 5 team, you might lose this one too. You're on the road at that. They lost at home to the Titans. Oh, Lord. I got to go with the team that's won more games here because the Jaguars are just that bad. But I would not be surprised if the Texans lost this game too. It's just one of those things that's in the cards, divisional matchup, and here you're coming off of a loss that is almost mirroring this matchup here. So, but I'll stick with the Texans on the road.
I'll stick with Texans as well. I think once you have that trap game, it's sort of in the nature of trap games that they happen when you don't expect them to. So if you come off of a trap game against a bad team in your division, the next week you play the other bad team in your division, you kind of know what to expect. So there's not, the trap factor isn't really there anymore for the Texans, and I think they'll right the ship and they'll get it right and they'll go to Jacksonville and get that win back that they need. Cardinals and the Vikings.
Yeah, Seattle put the Cardinals back down to earth. They were flying high, and then coming off of that bye, really looked like they had a good shot to win that coming into it, and then they got shut down. Kyler Murray was getting stomped out there. And yep, it looks like the Cards are who we thought they are. And like I said earlier, the Vikings got that win. It was a really tough matchup and a barely a win for them. But I still think the overall the Vikings are a better team. Maybe not as good as we thought they were early in the season, but still a better team than the Cardinals. They're at home. I'll take the Vikings.
Yep, Vikings 2. And I hope the Vikings win this one, right? No need to. We've talked about the NFC West. I have every single game. I will not be able to rest until week 18 because that's just how the NFC West is looking like. I have to root against all three of those teams every single week because it's just so tight. They're all within a game of each other still, and they're all astoundingly mediocre. I will take the Vikings. They're the winning team. Have to get it done at home. Colts and Patriots.
Yeah, when you have a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, those past 2 weeks are just what you're going to get out of him. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a passing quarterback. He is dangerous on his feet, and he can score touchdowns if given the right defense that he's playing against. But then weeks like last week happen, and you realize, oh, yeah, he's really not that good, is he? We tried to warn, us who watch the SEC, tried to warn the NFL about taking this guy early in the draft. Like, no, we watched him play at Florida. This guy is not good. I get it, he's an athletic freak, so you take him and you take your chances. But the Colts are finding out why they shouldn't have drafted Anthony Richardson. And unexperienced at that, as we've pointed out several times. The Patriots, coming off of that tough loss to Miami. I think overall, the Patriots are a better team. They're going to improve. Drake May's going to get settled in eventually, and you'll probably see the Pats win a good bit of games next year or the year after once he's well established. But right now, they're struggling. I do think they're better than the Colts, though. I'll take the Patriots at home.
Man, I expected you to take Indy here.
Oh, really?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I did. I think just the run game. That the Colts have the potential to bring up should give some fits to that Patriots defense because that defense is porous. I mean, they have had some issues defending the run. They've had issues defending the pass, right? They've had issues defending anything this year. And Drake May has shown the flashes, but of course he's nowhere near having that. So sort of having around him what he needs to win relevant games. Patriots are at home, but I don't think it means much. I'll take the Colts. I'll take the Colts simply for the run game and the offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts. I think they'll just be able to dominate on the ground for such an enormous part of the game. Now, still a tank bowl, right? Still not an exciting game to watch. And ultimately, yeah, I do think Drake May is probably further along in his development than Anthony Richardson is, given they've played about the same amount of games in the NFL. Or I guess Richardson's played a couple more. He got hurt last season. I think he's a bit further along as a passer, but this is not what this game is going to come down to. I'll take the Colts. Seahawks at the Jets.
Yeah, man. Jets are coming off of a bye, but I was watching Shannon Sharp talk about Aaron Rodgers, and he was pointing out how Aaron Rodgers has become that thing that he hates, which is Brett Favre, and now he is Brett Favre, and his mentality has absolutely altered. He's not the dominant guy that he once was. He's not a Super Bowl type quarterback anymore. He is fading slowly, and maybe mentally he just can't deal with that. The Seahawks coming off of a win over the Cardinals. They look halfway decent. They're not putting up 30 points a game or anything, but Geno Smith has this team slightly above middle of the line. So I think that's good enough to beat the Jets here. The Jets historically have a really good defense, but for some reason it's not good enough. That offense is horrible, and Aaron Rodgers, you can say it's the injury, you can say it's mentality or whatever. I don't even know if he's going to play out the rest of the season at this point. I'll take the Seahawks on the road.
Yeah, I would say mentality. You've seen after the first few games that it became clear what the Jets were and what they weren't, and that they're not going to go a whole lot of everywhere. The GM got fired, the head coach got fired. They are announcing rebuild from the rooftops. You get the feeling that Aaron Rodgers is kind of mentally checked out a lot of the time. You see it during games, maybe during the week as well. it doesn't seem like he's all that involved anymore. And it's hard to blame him because he went there to have a good team around him, to give him a chance to go to the playoffs and make some waves. And of course, it went the exact opposite way. There's no way he's going to stay with the Jets either. And I don't think he has a particularly big interest in putting his absolute best into finishing the rest of the season, other than auditioning for a job and a good deal with another team next year. I need Aaron Rodgers to be 100% this week and to care, right? He grew up a Niners fan, right? He did. That's right. So what do you have to do? You can't help your own team. They suck, right? But you can help the Niners by beating Seattle. That would be a good start. I hope he gets that done at home. Can I pick them? Can I pick the Jets? I don't think so. Seattle has a pretty good offense. They have some playmakers, and the Jets defense, after the firing of the defensive head coach, Rob Saleh, has gotten even worse. And they're now bottom five defense in the league. They're awful. And Seattle's going to score too many points. I'll take the Seahawks, unfortunately. But I hope this can be one where we get the old Superman Rodgers one more time. The Titans and the Commies.
Yeah, have the Titans built any momentum off of that win? That's the question here. You know, Will Levis is a lot like Anthony Richardson, an athletic freak, but just doesn't quite have that extra thing that you need to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. They're very similar. I mean, you wouldn't think about looking at the two guys, but they are so similar. The Commanders are coming off of that tough game. That tough loss to the Cowboys. Are they going to put it back together? I like to think so. I like to think that, you know, the Titans are still one of the worst teams in the league. It was just a fluke that happened. Like you called it, a trap game. And maybe that's just what it was. And I think the Commanders may put it back together. And their fans will be happy to see a good start to finish game from the Commanders because they've been looking so down after the past few weeks. I'll take the Commanders at home.
Yeah, give me Washington at home as well. This is no such thing as a back-to-back trap game, right? If you play back-to-back games against terrible teams and you lose, maybe you might want to consider you're trapping yourself. Maybe there's a problem internally going on. Maybe it's not that good. I don't think that'll happen to the Washington Commanders, though they have had a lot of problems. I mean, they started the season on fire, right? Week 5, 6, we thought they might be the best team in the league. And that surely isn't the case, and we're not that far away from 500. And the playoffs picture in the NFC is not clear at all. We don't know, given how the NFC North is looking, whether the second team in the NFC East is going to make the playoffs. It's not clear yet. It's looking like they will because there doesn't seem to be any competition in the other two divisions, but they don't want to give up games like that. There's no way they're going to play down to the Titans again, so I will take Washington at home. The Bucks and Panthers.
Well, the two teams that these teams played last week made them both look like they might be as good as the Bills or the Lions this year. The Bucks absolutely stomped out the Giants with Tommy DeVito. I don't think it's a big feat. Like I said, I think the Giants are tanking. And I don't really think they want to win here. The Panthers felt really good about themselves that they could go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. But it is the Chiefs, so you don't get the win. Wouldn't really matter for their season if they did get the win. They're not playoff bound, and you may just want to hope for a high pick at this point. Anyway, I think the Bucks have the better momentum, and I will be picking the Bucks on the road.
Yep, give me Tampa. Though the Panthers won 2 of their last 3 games and then played the Chiefs down to the last 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's one thing we have to give them. Traveled overseas, won there. This could be a trap game for Tampa Bay, who of course has rolled over the Giants, but I don't think it will be. These two teams know each other too well, and Tampa has to win every game to stay in the running for the division. The Falcons have shown some weakness. It is still in the cards, at least. If the season runout turns out good for Tampa Bay, they still have a shot at repeating as division winners, so I think they won't be able to stumble over the Panthers here. I'll take the Bucks. The Rams at the Saints.
Almost a tank bowl at this point. I know the Rams still have aspirations of winning that division because Two teams are one game above 500 and two teams are one game below. So it's a winnable division. The 49ers might have something to say about that if they get a quarterback in, but the Cards are looking bad. The Seahawks may be the most dominant team in the division at this point in time. Rams, you have to win this. Now, the Saints coming off of a bye. Do I believe that they are going to come back out of the bye like they went into the bye, which was actually playing a bit better, and they're not the worst team in the league like they were about 5 to 6 games into the season. They were absolutely horrible. And Derek Carr came back. They weren't much better, but they started to put something together. Almost like the Panthers, They started to get it together right before the bye. I want them to lose. That's how I feel about it. I'm going to take the Rams on the road.
Okay. Yeah, we disagree on this. I want them to win. I need to see the week 1, week 2 Saints we saw earlier this year. That's what I need to put 40 points on the Rams and blow them out straight back to the West Coast. That's what I need to see. I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems a little bit far-fetched given of what we've seen from the Saints for the majority of their reason, as you have rightfully pointed out. These are always difficult for me to pick. The Rams, he didn't look great against Philly. Lost pretty convincingly, but the Saints, with the track record, I feel like the Rams feel like they have more to play for. I just feel like the Rams are going to win this. I don't think the Saints are ever going to get back this year to what they were at the start of the season. I'm taking the Rams. I really don't want them to win. Like with the Jets as well, I'm rooting against the NFC West team, but I feel like they have pretty easy draws, so the Rams are going to get this one. The Eagles and the Ravens, game of the week.
I've been saying that the Eagles are not as good as their record. I don't know if I should change my mind about this at this point, because they've blown out some teams recently, and they are playing much better. I don't know if they're good enough to go toe-to-toe with the Ravens yet, but maybe they're not worse. With that record, though, that record is phenomenal. So maybe they are still worse than their record, but maybe they are better than I thought. Saquon Barkley, if it wasn't for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff, he might be the one up for MVP because he looks absolutely great. Apparently, it was the Giants that had been holding him down his whole career, and Saquon Barkley might be the best running back in the NFL. But it's the Ravens. You have the best running quarterback in the NFL. You also have a rushing leader for several years in Derrick Henry. So this is going to be a run-first game. Run to set up the pass, at least. As far as passing goes, it's probably going to be Mark Andrews versus the two number one wide receivers that I just totally blanked on some names right there. So the two number one wide receivers for the Eagles,
AJ Brown and Devontae
yes, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Yes, absolutely. It's gonna be those two versus Mark Andrews. I don't know. I think being at home gives the Ravens a little bit of an edge. And they don't have the division wrapped up. They're fighting for the division lead. And the Eagles may absolutely have theirs wrapped up. So I'm going to say that the Ravens have to fight for more. Take the Ravens at home.
So these are two teams that can really run the ball, that have excellent running backs and also excellent running quarterbacks and great offensive lines. This is pretty close to a coin flip. I think had it been last year, we would have said this is like the duel of the two best centers in the league. Or for many years may have been, with the quarterback runs, the quarterback sneaks, especially. Now, of course, Jason Kelce retired, so that's not really the conversation anymore. This is really a coin flip, and I'm kind of on your side with the reasoning of the home field. You know, the Ravens are playing at home. They have a longer week to recover. I remember the Eagles played later in the week. The Ravens just played on Thursday night, so they guys have 10 games. They have 10 days. They have a half a bye week here. Those two things speak in favor of Baltimore, and that's enough reason for me. I think I'll take the Ravens for those factors because it seems like such an evenly matched game. Should be a good one, though, as opposed to what was probably scheduled to be the game of the week and intended to be on Monday night, the Niners and the Bills.
Yeah, man. The fall from grace that the 49ers have undertaken here is pretty sad to see, to tell you the truth. I know that's your team, so I'll refrain from talking about them too much. But
No, that's all right.
but Jesus, man, they really have fallen off. And without Brock Purdy there, who's the most important player on that team? Is it Brock Purdy or is it Trent
It's
Williams?
Brock Purdy.
Okay.
It's Brock Purdy, and then and next up it's probably Nick Bosa and then Fred Warner. I think it's in that order.
Yeah, you may be right about that because they're not going to win much without Brock Purdy out there. That's for sure.
It's not McCaffrey. They were better without McCaffrey at the start of the season, but the rest of the team healthy.
He obviously is not 100%.
No, he's not.
Yeah, and Debo can't get going without a decent passing quarterback. So you have that. Kittle still showed up. He was pretty decent in the game, but other than that, you couldn't get any offense going. And the Bills are monsters. Like, this is the juggernaut right here. One of the top 3 teams in the NFL. They're going to take it to the 49ers. And unfortunately, you're on the road in Buffalo, and you are a warm weather team that's going to be up there in the frozen north. I'm taking the Bills at home.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Buffalo, not only up north, not only a warm weather team, not only are the Bills great, Niners are still going to roll up with half the players on IR, right? So, see, look, seasons like that, it happens, right? I would prefer, I'll be honest, I would prefer it happen like this, where it sort of all comes together, right? Like, special teams is bad, you have a rookie defensive head coach or defensive coordinator who's not the guy and will be replaced, and every important player on your team gets injured. I prefer all of that to happen in the same season. And you just go from like being the best team in the conference for years at a time to just straight up missing the playoffs and crashing and burning, and you come back next year and you reload. I'd rather have that than have all of these like little things trickle out. You know, Purdy gets hurt this year, and then Bosa and Ayuk get hurt next year, and so forth. And like, you're always hampered. So I think it's just, you just write off the year pretty much. Now, I would say that even more with more conviction if this division wasn't so bad, and if they weren't just a game behind the Seahawks and Cardinals at the top. Now the Niners do play the hardest remaining schedule of those 4 teams. They play the Bills. They also have to play against the Lions, which is going to be first of all a major revenge game for the Detroit. So that they are going to let out a lot of frustration in that one and probably win handily. Buffalo's much better. Niners were at full force. It would be a great game to watch. I've been wanting to see them play at full force against each other for a long time. This could have been a Super Bowl preview. But given as it is, we don't even know if Brock Purdy's going to play. That's where we're at. We don't even know if he's going to be there. And if that's even a possibility, seeing what we've seen last week, there's absolutely no chance. I'm picking the Niners. Give me Buffalo in this one. They're 7-point favorites, which is, to me, a conservative estimate. Seeing what Green Bay just did, if there's a chance Purdy doesn't play, the Bills will win by 10 to 15, I believe, or should be favored by 10 to 15. So I'll take Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And then Monday night, inexplicably, the Browns and the Broncos.
Yeah, there's no way they thought this was going to be a game of the week right here when they planned this out. I don't understand this. You should have flexed this one. I mean, you got the Eagles and the Ravens that could be playing this game right here.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
The Ravens just played Monday night, I guess. Maybe they don't want to do it back-to-back.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. They should have reworked last week's game. Although, that was a great game. So I see why that one was on Monday night, but this just makes no sense. Either way, the Browns are coming off of a win over the Steelers, so they got that going for them. The defense looks great. And Jameis Winston is a all or nothing quarterback. He's either going to be phenomenal out there throwing 5 touchdowns or he's going to be out there throwing 5 interceptions. That's the way he's been his entire career. On the other side, Sean Payton has hit on his quarterback. Once again, he picked the right guy, and I hate to see it, but he has. And Bo Nix is probably going to be the franchise starter for the next 10 to 15 years. He's legit, and he is definitely in line for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, look what Jaden's doing.
You think he's taking it away from Jaden now?
I think so. I mean, they're struggling. The Commanders are struggling right now. Yeah, that was a phenomenal quarter, like I said earlier. but he
So
struggled.
the betting odds are closed now. Betting odds are closed. When I think after midseason, Jaden Daniels was locked in. Now we have Jaden Daniels slightly favored. Just slightly favored over Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Not much.
If he goes on a hot streak, I could see him hanging on to it. But if he plays like he has over the last 3 games, this is Bo Nix's award to win. I would favor Bo Nix there. I would put some money on that just for the chance, you know. But then again, the odds aren't that great anymore. He should have did that about 4 or 5 weeks ago. He could have made big money. But yeah, the Broncos are better. They're at home. I don't think the Browns are legit at any given point, but with Nick Chubb being more and more healthy each week, this team is absolutely a threat on the ground because we know Nick Chubb is much like Derrick Henry and some of these guys who can take over a game at any given time and score multiple touchdowns. Now, if he's going to be 100% for the rest of the year, the Browns are a threat to whoever they play. They can play spoiler, but right now I'm going to stick with the Broncos. They have the momentum. This team should win.
I feel like you just made the case for why this should be a primetime game. Now I'm having second thoughts, right? The Browns are kind of on an upswing. They beat the Steelers, long week. Nick Chubb's back. Jameis Winston looks like better quarterback than Deshaun Watson was there. Because Denver's very exciting. Bo Nix is fantastic and probably the offensive rookie of the year, like you said. Yeah, maybe this is going to be a really good game. Who knows? After all, maybe it turns out that this was the right pick. I'm going Denver. On account of Bo Nix, and there's serious playoff hopes, right, with the Broncos at this point. Very, very serious wild card hopes. Do they play Kansas City again, or was that blocked field goal was at the second Kansas City game already? I forget.
I'll have to look it up and see.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they should play the Chargers again, which would then be for the second place most likely, and for the maybe first wild card.
They have Chiefs in the last game of the season.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a great one. Wow. That'd be amazing, especially after what happened in the first game.
Listen to
that could be the best game of the year.
Listen to their schedule for the last 3 games of the season. The Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs.
Wow.
Those are going to be shootouts. Yeah.
The Chargers and Bengals are going to be teams that are in must-win range for playoffs. Mm-hmm. And the Chiefs do not want to lose to, and potentially lose it on the 1 seed because they lost to a division rival in Week 18. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are going to be tough. Yeah, this is a must-win for Denver in any case, but especially in that case. Browns, they have to win. I'll take the Broncos to get it done because they are at home. But yeah, maybe it is going to be a good game. By the way, I have decided that I don't understand college football anymore. It turns out there's why is there so much craziness now with the new playoffs? Or would the same nonsense have happened with all these top teams just losing games over and over if the playoff format hadn't changed? And also, how does Oregon get better after losing what turned out to be the best quarterback in the country?
Well, Dan Lanning is the reason Oregon is so good. He comes.
But he was there last year, and he had Bo Nix, and now he's still there.
Well,
and he got drafted.
Well, the only 2 games they lost were to Kalen DeBoer and Washington. They were dominant all season, except for those 2 games against Washington and Michael Penix. Oregon is great. I mean, he came back home to face his teacher. Was at the beginning of last season or the season? No, it was last season, and got blown out by the Bulldogs, of course, because you're facing your teacher in your first game that you're a head coach. But overall, Oregon is really good. They did struggle in their last game, but they're rightfully number 1. Now, the reason there's so much parity is, if that's what you're asking, is why all these teams are taking each other out is because of NIL, and these players are making money and they're transferring like crazy. Like, you can basically go to any school you want to now. It doesn't really matter anymore because you're not like, I need to go to the team that's going to get me to the NFL the fastest. Players aren't looking at it like that anymore. They're making millions of dollars. Carson Beck made $1.9 million to play this season. That's why he didn't go to the NFL last year. So that is influencing their decisions, and these teams have parity now, whereas we didn't see that in the past, and that's why the dynasties are no longer the dynasties. Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama have ran the college football for several years now, going back as far as I've been watching college football. But now it's not that way. And Oregon may be in line to win the championship this year. They may not. A lot of people are saying the SEC is down right now. I think it's just there's so much parity that they are cannibalizing each other. But we should get at least two teams. I mean, whoever makes Georgia is set for the SEC championship. I think whoever wins plus whoever plays in the SEC championship is a shoo-in for the tournament. But as far as that, Tennessee will probably backdoor in. Once we get there, we'll be able to see, is the SEC still dominant compared to all the other teams? Like Boise State is most likely going to be in the playoff.
Yeah.
We should
They should be.
They should be, but they're probably going to get stomped out like 45-16 or something.
They came the closest out of every team in the entire country to beat Oregon this year.
Yeah.
They're not bad. I don't think they're bad. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to compare.
Yeah, maybe. I know as of this time for recording, we haven't seen the college football playoff selections for this week yet. But I don't know. I think they're devaluing the SEC. And whoever wins their conference, though, automatically gets a bye through the first week. So Boise State might make it to that second round at least. You know, if they win their division there. These group of 5 teams, they get one player in on a bye. So whoever draws that second round is going to be happy. You know, I would love for Georgia to face Indiana in the first round. That would be pretty cool to see because Indiana has been on a tear all season, but they've played absolutely nobody. And once they finally went against Ohio State, they got blown out. But they're still going to be ranked as one of the top teams in the country. So they're going to draw a juggernaut when they get into this tournament. And probably get stomped out, I would assume. But it's a weird time. I think we'll all get used to it after a few years. Once this format, gets set in a little bit.
Can you imagine they expand the playoffs like that? And Alabama doesn't make it in the first year?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
It's on the table. That was crazy.
Yeah. Alabama fans are really upset about it because...
It's a good thing my bandwagons are Oregon and Notre Dame, so I can switch to two teams that I know are going to be good.
Yeah.
But man, and it's the Iron Bowl coming up too. In 4 days, they're playing Auburn, and know they're gonna want to knock them out, right?
Yeah.
Like you got Alabama on the ropes, and every year this is potentially a trap game, if we can even call it that.
After Alabama beat Georgia, I thought, okay, well they haven't regressed. Everybody was saying, "Oh, decaying dynasty, Saban's gone, they're gonna fall apart." I was like, no, they still have top recruiting classes. I just looked at the recruiting class for next year. They're 2 behind Georgia and Oregon and then Ohio State. That's the top 4. Like, these recruiting schools are still recruiting well, as long as you can keep your players once they get there. But I don't know. It's kind of baffling to me. Maybe it is Kalen DeBoer. Maybe he's the problem. They have a lot of the same players that they had last year. I don't know.
Should have been Dan Lanning. I said even before the hire.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have it made so much sense.
They might have even been better with Dan Lanning than Saban's last year. I can agree with that for sure.
Maybe at least as good. Like that's the right person to inherit this sort of legacy.
Mm-hmm. Well, he turned it down though. They that was definitely their pick. Their number 1 pick was, hey, can we get Dan Lanning? He comes from the Saban coaching tree. But you got Kalen DeBoer, and I thought it was a pretty bad pick at the time. But the way the season has played out, I think that's a confirmation. Yeah. But he did beat Dan Lanning twice last year, like I just said. So,
yes, I know. I also have no explanation for why. Because arguably they had the worst head coach. And I mean, given that, assume that Michael Penix, like, I don't know how good he's going to be, but Bo Nix looks great. They probably had the worst quarterback.
Yeah, well, they have, I believe, oh God, what's his name? The guy that they have now at Oregon, the quarterback. He was an Oklahoma guy, and I believe he was a Lincoln Riley guy at first. But he's actually in the running for Heisman this year. Jesus.
Who the Dylan Gabriel starter?
Dylan Gabriel, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, I believe he was a Lincoln Riley guy. He was recruited by him because I think he came to Oklahoma when, before Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold took over after he left last year. But, yeah, he was there when Spencer Rattler, or he was at least being recruited while Spencer Rattler was at Oklahoma. So he had to be a Lincoln Riley recruit, if nothing else, before Vint Brennewals took over when Lincoln Riley went out to California.
Man, I don't understand this sport. Not one
Dude,
bit
I'm loving
anymore.
it though. I'm loving it though.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's crazy. I can't wait to see what the playoff tournament's gonna look like.
Yeah,
it'd be amazing for sure.
I have my doubts that Georgia's gonna win it all. They look like the preseason favorites to win it all, but it's a tough road, and they're not playing as well as they used to.
No, it might be Oregon time finally.
Mm-hmm.
After coming close a couple times, right? Last time they were, I think, in the championship game was Marcus Mariota, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Jameis Winston.
And Jameis Winston, yeah, FSU.
Yeah.
I remember that. This is over a decade ago, so maybe it's time finally. For Duck Nation, who knows? In the NFL, by the way, we didn't bring it up at the start, the MVP discussion. The poll on our channel page is out, so if you're still listening somehow after the prediction is over, you can go vote on our channel page, the community page, to pick who your MVP favorite's going to be. Last week, we had a very big lead for Josh Allen after that big boost beating the Chiefs and Lamar Jackson having a down game. Now, this past week, Allen had a bye. Jackson had a good game. I'm expecting things to get close again. Jared Goff is still lurking in the shadows, by the way. So I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out. Right now, Allen is a slim betting favorite over Lamar Jackson, and Saquon Barkley is actually number 3, which nobody believes. What do you think about the MVP race?
I have Josh Allen at number 1, Lamar Jackson at number 2, Jared Goff at number 3. Justin Herbert lost the head-to-head, so he drops down to number 4, and Joe Burrow still hanging in there at 5 off of the bye week. And
seems fair to me.
If all these guys go on a losing streak, then it's Saquon Barkley's to take.
I might throw Sam Darnold up again at number 5 at this point over Burrow just because of the wins. And he had another really good game. He doesn't have the the stats that Burrow has in terms of just the raw yards and touchdowns, but he's been an amazing game manager type quarterback, and that's not a demeaning thing at all. That's how many of the best quarterbacks in history won. All of their accolades. Maybe I'll throw him up there, but it looks more and more like it'll be the Allen and Jackson showdown. Even though Jared Goff maybe is kind of unfairly disqualified because the rest of his team, the running game is carrying so much of the success. He's still having a flawless year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you can go vote and let us know what you think. I'm expecting a pretty close voting this week. I'm expecting something closer to 50-50. We've had a few weeks with outliers. Expecting a close one this week. Do you have anything to add, Smokey?
No, I think that's it for this week.
All right. Thank you for watching. Drop us a like. Let us know what you think about all these games. Go vote for your favorite to be the MVP. And we will see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha. Check.